You're about to unlock a confidence shift most men never experience. Not because it's complicated, but because it threatens the version of you that's been trying so hard. All this time you've been polishing your words, fixing your posture, rehearsing charm, thinking confidence is something you perform. It isn't. It's something you stop leaking. And the moment you stop leaking it, everything about how women treat you changes. By the end of this video you'll know exactly how to make that shift, and why once it clicks, you can't unsee it. You walk into a room and before you say a single word, you already feel it. Your eyes scan for reactions. Are they looking? Did she notice? Should you smile first or wait? That subtle tension in your chest, that's not excitement. That's need. And it broadcasts louder than any words you'll say all night. Most guys think confidence is about adding something more charisma, more dominance, more edge. That's the lie. Real confidence is subtraction. It's the removal of internal noise that says, I need this moment to go well. The instant that voice quiets down, your body relaxes, your movements slow, your eye contact steadies. Women don't respond to your techniques, they respond to your nervous system. Picture this. You're sitting across from her, drink between your hands. She leans back slightly, arms relaxed, eyes curious but guarded. You're thinking, say something interesting. Don't be boring. Don't mess this up. She feels that pressure even if she can't name it. It's like standing next to a speaker with a faint but constant hum. Then imagine the same scene, but your internal dialogue is silent. You're not waiting for approval. You're present. You speak when you have something to say. You pause without panic. She leans in, not because you said something clever, but because something about you feels grounded. The shift isn't in your words, it's in your relationship to the outcome. Here's the mistake almost every man makes. He confuses desire with dependence. Wanting her is fine, needing her reaction, her validation, her interest, that's where attraction dies. Dependence shows up as a planing, over-texting, over-smiling. It's the extra sentence at the end of a message that didn't need to be there. It's the laugh that lingers too long. It's the way you mentally rehearse how you'll be perceived. Women are exquisitely sensitive to this, because dependence puts pressure on them. And pressure kills polarity. The confidence shift is brutal in its simplicity. You stop negotiating your worth in real time. You don't wait to see how she reacts to decide how you feel about yourself. Your mood doesn't rise and fall with her attention. When she's engaged, you enjoy it. When she pulls back you don't chase, you remain unchanged. That emotional consistency reads as strength. Not loud strength. Quiet strength. The kind that makes people adjust themselves around you. Think about the guy everyone seems to respect without him trying. He doesn't rush. He doesn't explain himself unless he wants to. When there's silence, he lets it breathe. He's not performing confidence, he's comfortable with himself whether anyone's watching or not. That comfort is contagious. It tells a woman, this man will be okay with or without me. And paradoxically, that's what makes her want to be chosen by him. There's a moment you've probably lived through but misinterpreted. She tests you, maybe subtly, maybe not. She cancels plans last minute. She challenges something you said, she pulls back emotionally. The old you reacts. You try to fix it, clarify, smooth it over. The shift happens when you don't. Not in a petty way, not with fake indifference, but with genuine self-trust. You think, if this works, great. If not, I'm still me. That response or lack of one, changes the power dynamic instantly. Her test wasn't about logistics, it was about emotional center of gravity. When you don't tip she feels it. This isn't about playing games. Games still orbit need. This is about alignment. When your actions line up with a deep belief that you're already enough. You stop bending yourself to be digestible. You say what you mean. You hold eye contact without forcing it. You walk away from conversations that don't feel right. And here's the part most men don't like to hear. You accept rejection without resentment. Because rejection no longer threatens your identity, it just filters. Try this exercise the next time you're out. As you interact, notice every impulse to impress. Every urge to add value to earn interest. Then do nothing, let the urge pass. Speak only when it feels natural. If there's silence, let it exist. You'll feel exposed at first, like you've taken off armor. That discomfort is the old pattern dying. On the other side of it is a calm that doesn't ask permission. And women feel that calm as safety mixed with danger. The most addictive combination there is. The shift isn't instant because you decide it is. It's instant because the moment you genuinely stop chasing a reaction, your entire presence changes. Your shoulders drop. Your voice slows. Your eyes stop darting. You become harder to read, not because you're hiding, but because you're no longer trying to be understood. And that mystery pulls people toward you without effort. Most men will hear this and nod, then go right back to performing confidence. They'll mistake detachment for coldness, silence for strategy. That misses the point. The point is inner solidity. When you have it, you don't need to prove anything, and when you don't need to prove anything, women stop trying to figure you out, and stop trying to feel you. There's a quiet moment that reveals whether the shift has actually happened. It's when she doesn't text back, hours pass. Then a day. The old reflex kicks in. Check your phone, reread your last message, wonder if you said too much or too little. Your mind starts writing stories. This is where most men lose the frame. They call it patience, but it's really anxiety in disguise. The shift shows up when that gap doesn't hijack you. You notice the absence, then you return to your life. Gym, work, friends, focus. Your emotional baseline stays flat, not numb, stable, and that stability communicates something primal. You are not orbiting her. Imagine her side of it. She puts her phone down, half expecting another message. None comes. There's no pressure, no follow-up, no emotional tug of war. Just space. And in that space a question forms she didn't plan on asking. Why isn't he reacting like the others? Curiosity replaces certainty. Certainty is boring. Curiosity is electric. This is where men confuse confidence with dominance. Dominance tries to control outcomes. Confidence lets outcomes reveal themselves. When you're dominant without confidence, you posture. When you're confident without dominance, you're passive. The sweet spot is calm authority. Knowing you could lead if needed, but not needing to prove it. Women test for that constantly, not consciously, but instinctively. They're asking, if I lean on him emotionally, will he collapse or remain grounded? The shift answers that question before it's asked. Think back to a time you felt most attractive. Not when someone validated you, but when you were deeply engaged in something that had nothing to do with women. A project, a goal. A phase where your days felt full. During those times attention came easier. Not because you were trying less, but because you were needing less. Neediness is loud even when you say nothing. Purpose quiets it. There's a scene that plays out in bars, offices, classrooms, everywhere. Two men stand in the same space. One is scanning, adjusting, calibrating himself to the room. The other is simply there. His posture isn't rigid, it's settled. His gaze isn't searching, it's observant. When he speaks, it's measured. He's not performing for the room slowly tunes itself to him. That's the man women watch without realizing they're watching. Not because he's flashy, but because he's internally anchored. The myth you were sold is that confidence comes from success with women. Get enough validation and you'll feel secure. Reality flips that completely. Security comes first and then success follows. Waiting for external proof before you allow yourself to relax is a trap. You end up chasing an ever-moving finish line. The shift happens when you decide your worth is non-negotiable, not because you're arrogant, but because you're done bargaining with the world. This is why fake confidence collapses under pressure. The moment the woman challenges you, pulls away, or shows interest in someone else, the mask cracks. Real confidence doesn't spike when things go well or shatter when they don't. It stays even. And that evenness creates emotional polarity. She can move around you without destabilizing you. That's what makes her feel free enough to move closer. Notice how different your responses become. She teases you lightly. Instead of defending yourself or trying to win the joke, you smile and let it land. She disagrees with you. You don't rush to convince her, you let her have her view. She goes quiet, you don't fill the space with reassurance. None of this is strategy. It's the natural behavior of someone who trusts himself. Trust is felt, not explained. There's a brutal realization buried in all this. Some women will lose interest when you make this shift, not because you did something wrong, but because the dynamic they relied on disappears. If a connection was built on you chasing and them being chased, removing that energy collapses the structure. That's not loss, that's filtration. What remains are women who respond to who you are, not what you provide emotionally. The internal monologue changes too. You stop asking, does she like me? And start noticing, do I like how I feel around her? That reversal is subtle but seismic. You move from auditioning to choosing. From hoping to observing. Women feel that change immediately because it reassigns roles without a word being said. You're no longer seeking permission to exist in the interaction. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you selective. When you give attention, it's clean, no hooks attached. When you show interest, it's direct. And when you walk away, it's without drama. That emotional cleanliness is rare, and rarity creates value. Not artificial value. Not scarcity tactics, real value born from self-respect. Here's the part no one warns you about: the shift can feel lonely at first. When you stop chasing, you're left alone with yourself. No constant feedback loop. No quick dopamine hits from validation. Just you. That's where most men turn back. They mistake the quiet for emptiness. But if you stay there, something solid forms. You begin to enjoy your own company. Your standards sharpen. Your patience grows. And when a woman enters that space, she's entering a life, not becoming it. Confidence isn't loud, it doesn't announce itself. It shows up as an absence of urgency, an absence of explanation, an absence of fear about being misunderstood. And that absence is what changes how women treat you. They slow down, they pay attention. They test less and feel more. Not because you demanded it, but because your presence invites it. At some point she notices the difference, even if she can't articulate it. Conversations with you don't feel rushed. There's no sense of being pulled into an emotional role she didn't ask for. You're not leaning forward, waiting for cues. You're leaning back into yourself. That posture, internal more than physical, creates a strange effect. She starts volunteering more. More stories. More emotion. More curiosity. When there's no pressure to perform for you, she feels free to explore you. This is where the polarity deepens. When you're centered, her emotions have room to move. She can be uncertain, playful, intense, distant, and you don't flinch. You don't mirror her mood to stay connected. You remain steady. That steadiness becomes the axis around which the interaction spins. She doesn't feel managed or chased. She feels met. And being met without being needed is intoxicating. Think about how rare it is to be around someone who doesn't need anything from you. No validation, no reassurance. No outcome. Just presence. That presence feels expansive. It allows attraction to grow naturally instead of being forced. Most men never offer this because they're afraid of losing momentum. They think if they stop pushing, everything will stall. In reality, pushing is what stalls it. Attraction moves on its own when the ground is stable. There's a moment, sometimes subtle, sometimes obvious, when she starts qualifying herself to you. She mentions things she likes, values she holds, standards she meets. Not in a wry sumo way, but in little disclosures. This is the inversion most men never experience. It only happens when your approval is not freely available. Not withheld, just not automatically given. Approval that isn't begged for but isn't cheap either. Here's the psychological mechanism beneath it. Humans are wired to value what isn't trying to be taken. When you don't reach, the other person feels the space and instinctively steps forward. When you reach, they step back to breathe. This isn't manipulation, it's physics. Emotional physics. Two bodies move in relation to each other. When one is centered, the other adjusts. Now consider how this changes your behavior when things escalate. You're no longer performing romance to keep her interested. You're responding honestly. If you want to see her, you say it plainly. If you're busy, you don't apologize for it. Your yes is clean, your no is clean. Clean signals create trust. Trust deepens attraction far more than theatrics ever could. There's a quiet confidence in being willing to lose her. Not as a threat. Not as a tactic. As a truth. When you genuinely know you'll be fine either way, your actions align effortlessly. You stop tolerating behavior that doesn't sit right. You don't argue your boundaries, you live them. And when boundaries are lived instead of defended, they're respected. This is why women treat confident men differently in conflict. They don't escalate as quickly. They don't push as hard. Because they sense there's no chaos to hook into. Emotional drama requires two participants. When one remains grounded, the storm has nothing to feed on. Calm isn't boring in those moments, it's regulating. It tells her, this is a place you can land. Most advice tells you to be more expressive, more open, more emotionally available. That advice is incomplete. Expression without center becomes dumping. Availability without self-sufficiency becomes burden. The shift balances openness with independence. You can share without collapsing. You can care without clinging. You can desire without chasing. That balance is what separates men who are liked from men who are deeply desired. Notice how your inner timing changes. You don't rush to reply just to prove interest. You reply when it fits your rhythm. Not artificially slow, not strategically delayed, just natural. That natural pace feels authentic because it is. Women have an almost supernatural radar for incongruence. The moment you try to confident, they feel the effort. When confidence is real, there's no effort to detect. The hardest part of this shift is letting go of control fantasies. You can't force attraction. You can't lock someone in. You can only offer a stable, grounded presence and see who resonates with it. That surrender feels risky because it removes the illusion of control. But in that surrender, something powerful happens. You stop living in reaction. You start living in choice. There's a line you cross where you realize you're no longer trying to win interactions. You're inhabiting them. You're not watching yourself from the outside, judging every move. You're inside your body, breathing, listening, responding. Women don't fall for techniques. They fall into states. And the state you're in becomes the invitation. Eventually, someone will ask what changed. They'll say you seem different. Calmer. More sure of yourself. You won't have a clever answer. You'll shrug, maybe smile. Because the truth is unglamorous. You stopped chasing feelings you didn't control and started building a life you did. The attraction was a side effect. And once you felt this shift, you can't go back. The old anxiety feels obvious. The old patterns feel loud. You see how much energy you used to spend managing perception. Now that energy is free. It goes into your work, your body, your craft, your life. And women respond to that fullness not with resistance, but with gravity. You don't get her attention by demanding it. You don't keep it by entertaining her. You hold it by being so anchored in yourself that attention feels optional.